I pull into the driveway just as the last rays of sunlight disappear behind the houses lining our quiet suburban street. My heart is heavy, tired from the weight of my daily grind, but it's the thought of her smile, the way she used to welcome me home, that gives me the strength to push on. The front door creaks as I push it open. The familiar scent of lavender, air freshener, and freshly brewed coffee hangs in the air, a welcoming aroma that reminds me of everything that used to be simple. I drop my keys onto the small wooden table by the door, each clink like a hammer against my already pounding heart. "Babe," I call out, hoping she's in the kitchen, or maybe folding laundry. Normal, everyday things. I crave normality these days. The echo of my voice fades into the silence. I hear faint sounds coming from upstairs. My feet are heavy as I climb the stairs, each step amplifying my anxiety. I stop at the top, listening. The muffled beat of pop music flows out from our bedroom. I let out a breath I didn't realize I was holding and shake my head. "Caroline?" I say louder as I reach the doorway, and that's when I see her, standing in front of the full-length mirror in our bedroom, one earbud dangling from her left ear. She's fixing her hair, twisting a lock of it around her fingers. My heart lifts a little as I approach her from behind. "Hey," I say softly, leaning in to wrap my arms around her waist. But when I'm just inches away, my eyes catch something that freezes me in place. A mark, dark and unmistakable, just below her ear, hidden beneath the cascade of her blonde hair. A bruise? No, not a bruise. It's a hickey. My breath catches, and my stomach drops like I've just missed a step on an endless staircase. Caroline stiffens, her blue eyes locking onto mine in the mirror. For a split second, they flash with something I can't quite place. Guilt? Fear? Both? "What's that?" I whisper, my voice tight. I don't even recognize myself. "On your neck." Her hand flies up instinctively, covering the mark. Her face flushes red, but not from embarrassment. It's more like she's been caught red-handed. "It's nothing," she stammers, but she can't look me in the eye. The lie hangs heavy in the air, suffocating us both. My fists clench at my sides, nails digging into my palms to keep me from losing it. "Nothing?" I echo, my voice rising. "Don't lie to me, Caroline. I need the truth." Caroline takes a step back, and the distance between us feels like an endless chasm. She tucks a lock of hair behind her ear, as if that will somehow erase the mark I can't unsee. My heart pounds, each beat echoing like a war drum in my chest. "Alex," she says, her voice barely more than a whisper, "please don't make this a big deal." I almost laugh, but the sound that comes out of my mouth is bitter and broken. "Not a big deal?" I spit, and my voice trembles. "You think a hickey on your neck isn't a big deal? You think this isn't something I have the right to be upset about?" She crosses her arms, trying to hide the nervous tremble in her hands. "You're overreacting," she says, eyes darting away. It's a weak defense, and we both know it. Overreacting. That word sets something off inside me. I feel the rage boiling up, but I swallow it down, trying to keep myself from doing something I'll regret. Instead, I focus on the betrayal, the broken promises. Memories flash through my mind. Our first dance at our wedding, lazy Sunday mornings wrapped up in each other's arms, nights spent whispering about dreams of the future. "Who is it?" I demand. My voice is harsh, more forceful than I intended, but I don't care. I need the truth, even if it shatters me. Caroline's face contorts, and she looks at me like I'm the one hurting her. Tears gather in her eyes, but I won't let myself be swayed by her attempt at vulnerability. "Not this time." "It's not what you think," she says, her voice cracking. "Then explain," I snap. "Make me understand, because right now, everything we have, everything we built, feels like a lie." She opens her mouth, then closes it. Her gaze drops to the floor, and that's all the confirmation I need. The silence stretches, growing heavier, pressing down on me like an avalanche. I take a step back, running a hand through my hair. My body feels numb, like I'm watching this nightmare unfold from somewhere outside myself. "You can't even deny it, can you?" I say, almost to myself. Tears spill down her cheeks, and she finally looks up. Her eyes are full of sorrow, but there's no denying the guilt hiding behind it. I didn't want this to happen, she says, her voice broken. I swear, Alex, I didn't mean to. Stop. I cut her off, my voice cold. Just stop. My heart is a storm, and I can't control the way it's tearing me apart. The weight of the betrayal feels like 1,000 daggers in my chest, but I can't let her see me fall apart. Not yet. I turn away, trying to gather my thoughts, my sanity. Who? I manage to ask, though my throat feels like it's closing. Tell me who it is. Caroline hesitates, and that hesitation is like a confession all on its own. She knows there's no easy way out of this, no way to sugarcoat the truth that will wreck us both. The seconds tick by, each one feeling like a punch to the gut as I wait for her answer. Caroline shifts uncomfortably, wiping at her tears. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes out. It's as if the weight of her own betrayal is strangling her. I can't stand the suspense, the silence that seems to echo every broken promise between us. Who is it? I demand again, louder this time, my voice shaking. Caroline winces at the harshness, but she finally looks up at me, her eyes wide with panic. It's someone from work, she whispers. The room seems to tilt. My mind races, running through the possibilities. I knew she had a new job, had heard about her late nights at the office, but I had convinced myself it was all innocent, just her trying to excel in her career. How naive I'd been. Who? I press, stepping closer. I need a name. She takes a deep breath, as if gathering the courage to break my heart once and for all. It's Ryan, she says, barely above a whisper. The name slices through me, so familiar and yet now tainted. Ryan, her new project manager, the guy she used to complain about until suddenly she didn't mention him at all. Ryan? I echo, disbelief thick in my voice. My hands clench into fists at my sides, and I force myself to stay in control. Memories of casual conversations, of her mentioning his name in passing, come flooding back, each one a knife in the gut. You mean the same Ryan you swore was just a friend? She has the decency to look ashamed, her eyes dropping to the floor again. It wasn't supposed to mean anything, she chokes out. It happened, Alex. It was a mistake. A mistake? I repeat, incredulous. How many times did this mistake happen, Caroline? How many lies did you tell to keep me in the dark? She doesn't answer, and the silence is deafening. My chest tightens, rage and heartbreak crashing together like a storm. I can't breathe, can't think straight. The woman I gave everything to, the woman I thought I knew, had been lying to my face. Before I know it, I've turned around, slamming my hand into the wall. The pain shoots through my knuckles, but it's nothing compared to the agony tearing me apart inside. God damn it! I roar, the sound ripping from my throat. Caroline jumps, her hands flying to her mouth. Alex, please, she sobs. I didn't want this. I never wanted to hurt you. Her words only make it worse. Then why? I shout, spinning back to face her. Why, Caroline? If you didn't want to hurt me, why do this? Why throw everything we had away? Tears stream down her face, and for a moment, I see the woman I fell in love with, the one I thought would be my partner forever. But that illusion shatters under the weight of her betrayal, leaving only pain. I don't know, she whispers. I was confused, lonely. It just happened. But I still love you, Alex. I do. I shake my head, feeling the sting of her words. Love? I laugh bitterly. You don't destroy the person you love. You don't betray them, lie to them, and then expect everything to be fine. I turn away, struggling to catch my breath. My world is spinning out of control, and I don't know how to put the pieces back together. I stand there, back turned to her, gripping the doorframe to keep myself from collapsing under the weight of it all. Caroline's sobs echo behind me, but they sound distant, almost unreal. I can't trust anything anymore, not even the woman who promised to share every joy and hardship with me. Alex, she pleads, her voice breaking. Please don't do this. Please don't walk away. Her words send a wave of conflicting emotions crashing through me. Rage, hurt, love, and disbelief, all tangled into a storm I can't control. How did we end up here? What happened to the life we promised each other? Slowly, I turn around, and the look on her face almost breaks me. Her cheeks are streaked with tears, her eyes desperate, but I can't let myself be swayed. Not this time. What do you expect me to do, Caroline? I ask, my voice raw. Pretend this didn't happen? Go back to the way things were? She takes a tentative step toward me, arms outstretched as if she could reach past the chasm she's created. I'll do anything, she says. We can fix this. I'll quit my job, cut off all contact with Ryan. Whatever you want. Her desperation feels hollow, a promise made too late. I shake my head, the ache in my chest almost too much to bear. You should have thought about that before, I say. Before you let him into our lives. Before you destroyed everything. Her hands drop to her sides, and I see the hope in her eyes flicker. I made a mistake, she whispers. A terrible, awful mistake. But I still love you, Alex. I need you. Love? I repeat, my voice cracking. You think this is love? Love doesn't leave marks on your neck from another man. Love doesn't lie and sneak around and break the person you're supposed to protect. Her lips tremble, and she takes another step, like she's trying to close the distance between us. Please, she says again. We can go to counseling. We can work through this. I don't want to lose you. I clench my jaw, my mind a whirlwind of memories, the good and the bad, the promises and the lies. The truth is, I don't know if we can come back from this. I don't know if I can ever look at her the same way, if I can ever trust her again. Finally, I take a deep breath, trying to steady myself. Here's what's going to happen, I say, my voice cold. You're going to pack a bag and stay somewhere else tonight. I need space. Time to think. Her eyes widen, and panic flares across her face. Alex, no, she begs. Please don't push me away. We can talk about this, figure it out together, I said. Pack a bag. I interrupt, the finality in my voice making her flinch. Right now. The room goes silent, the air heavy with the weight of everything left unsaid. For a moment, it looks like she's going to fight me, to argue and beg until I give in. But then her shoulders slump, and the last bit of defiance drains out of her. Without another word, she turns and begins to gather her things. I watch her, my heart aching with every movement she makes. I don't know if this is the end, or if there's even a way forward. All I know is that the woman I thought I knew is now a stranger, and I don't know if I'll ever be able to let her back in. Caroline moves like a ghost, silent and fragile, as she pulls a duffel bag from the closet. Each item she packs feels like a nail driven deeper into the coffin of our marriage. Shirts, a toothbrush, makeup, all the pieces of her that I used to know so intimately now seem foreign. She glances at me every now and then, her eyes pleading, but I keep my gaze hard, focused. I have to. I lean against the doorframe, arms crossed over my chest, trying to keep my emotions in check. The longer I watch her, the more memories flood my mind. Mornings when she'd surprise me with coffee in bed, the way her laugh used to light up a room, the promises we whispered on our wedding day. It all feels tainted now, a beautiful dream turned into a living nightmare. Finally, she zips up the bag, the sound slicing through the heavy silence. She stands there for a moment, clutching the strap, and I can see her struggling to find the words, something that might make this better. But there are no words. Nothing she says can make this right. Where am I supposed to go? She asks, her voice small and shaky. It's a question I don't have a real answer for, but I refuse to let that show. I don't care, I reply, my voice steady. Call your sister, stay with a friend. Anywhere but here. She winces like I slapped her, and part of me feels a sick satisfaction at seeing her hurt. But it's fleeting, replaced by a deep sadness I can't shake. We were supposed to be each other's safe place, the ones who made life better. How did we end up here? Caroline takes a step toward me, and my body goes rigid. I can't handle her touch right now, can't bear the idea of her trying to comfort me. Alex, she whispers, tears streaming down her face. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I'm begging you, don't let this be the end. I close my eyes, feeling the ache of her words. When I open them again, I let her see the pain she's caused. You didn't just betray me, Caroline. You broke us, I say, and I can see how those words shatter her all over again. Right now, I don't know if there's anything left to save. Her lower lip quivers, and for a split second, I almost reach for her, almost let myself believe we can find a way back. But then I remember the hickey, the lies, the image of her with someone else, and the rage reignites. She nods slowly, her shoulders slumping under the weight of my rejection. Without another word, she brushes past me, and the faint scent of her perfume lingers in the air long after she's gone. I listen to her footsteps echo down the stairs, the front door opening and closing. And just like that, she's gone. I stand there, rooted to the spot, as the silence engulfs me. It feels like a void has swallowed up the home we built together, leaving nothing but memories and unanswered questions. I walk into the bedroom, sit heavily on the edge of the bed, and bury my face in my hands. For the first time since I saw that mark on her neck, the tears come. Hot, angry, and filled with grief for everything we've lost. I let them fall, knowing that when the morning comes, the hard questions will remain. Where do I go from here? And how do I even begin to heal? The emptiness of the house presses in on me, every corner filled with echoes of the life we once shared. I wipe my face, trying to pull myself together, but the pain doesn't dissipate. It's a gnawing ache that seems to burrow deeper the longer I sit there. My phone buzzes on the nightstand, the sound jarring in the suffocating quiet. For a second, I debate ignoring it, but then curiosity gets the better of me. Maybe it's someone who can pull me out of this hell, even for a moment. I pick it up and glance at the screen. It's Ben, my oldest friend, the guy who stood by me through every dumb mistake and life victory. I hesitate, knowing the moment I answer, I'll have to face the reality of this situation. But I need an anchor, someone who can remind me of the world outside this mess. Hey man, I answer, my voice rough. Alex? Ben's voice comes through, full of concern. You sound like hell. What's going on? I lean back, letting out a shaky laugh that sounds more like a sob. Everything's gone to shit. I admit, my voice breaking. I don't even try to hide the pain. With Ben, there's no point in pretending. There's a pause on the other end, heavy and knowing. What happened? He asks, his tone serious. I draw a deep breath, feeling the words clog in my throat. Saying it out loud makes it feel even more real, like a knife twisting deeper. Caroline's been cheating on me, I finally say. The words hang in the air, raw and ugly. Ben is silent for a moment, probably processing the bombshell I just dropped. Jesus, Alex, he says, his voice low. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? Not even close, I admit, running a hand through my hair. I kicked her out. She's gone. But it's a nightmare, man. I don't even know where to start. I can come over, he offers immediately. Just say the word. We can drink until you forget what day it is, or I can just be there. Whatever you need. The offer almost breaks me. The idea of not being alone, of having someone to share the crushing weight of this betrayal, is more appealing than I'd like to admit. Yeah, I manage, my voice hoarse. I think I could use some company. On my way, Ben says. I'll bring whiskey. I hang up, my hand trembling. For a moment, I just sit there, letting the small comfort of Ben's support sink in. But the relief is fleeting. The question starts swirling again, relentless and cruel. How long had it been going on? Was she ever really happy with me, or had our entire marriage been a lie? My chest tightens, and I force myself to stand. I need to move, to do something other than sit here and drown in the pain. I head downstairs, each step echoing in the emptiness, and start cleaning up the living room. It's a pointless effort, but the routine of it gives me something to focus on. By the time Ben arrives, I've managed to push some of the chaos back, but it's only surface level. Inside, I'm still a wreck. He walks in with a bottle of whiskey and a look of pure worry etched across his face. He sets the bottle down and pulls me into a quick hug, clapping me on the back. We're gonna get through this, Alex, he says firmly, his voice full of conviction. I promise. I swallow hard, grateful for his unwavering support. Thanks, man, I say, my voice cracking. Ben doesn't waste any time. He pours us both generous glasses of whiskey, and we sit down, the alcohol burning away some of the numbness. But as we talk, as I unload everything I've been holding in, I can't shake the feeling that this is only the beginning. The fallout of Caroline's betrayal is far from over. Ben listens quietly as I spill everything, from the moment I saw the mark on Caroline's neck to the soul-crushing realization that our marriage was built on lies. The whiskey burns its way down my throat, a small comfort in the midst of this storm, but it doesn't come close to numbing the pain. Ben's face hardens with every detail, his hands clenching around his glass. "I can't believe she did this to you," he mutters, shaking his head. "You don't deserve any of this, Alex." I stare into my drink, the amber liquid swirling as I try to make sense of everything. "Deserve's got nothing to do with it," I say bitterly. "She made her choice, and now we're both paying the price." Ben leans forward, his eyes serious. "So what's next?" he asks. "Are you going to try to fix things, or?" The question hangs in the air, heavy with implications. I haven't allowed myself to think too far ahead yet. The idea of trying to mend what's broken seems impossible, but the thought of letting it all go, of walking away from the life we built together, is just as daunting. Before I can answer, the doorbell rings, slicing through the tension like a knife. Ben and I exchange a look, and I feel my body tense. Visitors at this hour can't mean anything good. "Expecting anyone?" he asks, setting his glass down. I shake my head, dread curling in my stomach. "No," I get up, my heart pounding, and walk toward the door. The last thing I need is more drama, but I can't ignore the insistent ringing. I pull the door open, and my breath catches in my throat. Standing there, disheveled and red-eyed, is Caroline. She's clutching her duffel bag, her shoulders hunched against the cold. "Alex," she whispers, her voice raw. "Please." I didn't know where else to go. I freeze, every muscle in my body tightening. The last person I want to see right now is her. The betrayal is still too fresh, too raw, and seeing her standing there, looking lost and vulnerable, is like ripping open a barely healing wound. Ben appears behind me, his expression darkening as he takes in the scene. "What the hell are you doing here?" He snaps, his protective instincts flaring up. Caroline flinches, her eyes darting between us. I just need to talk," she says, her voice cracking. "Please, Alex, just give me a chance to explain." Anger bubbles up inside me, threatening to spill over. "Explain?" I echo, my voice dangerously calm. "What more is there to say, Caroline? You lied. You cheated. You destroyed everything." Tears spill down her cheeks, and she takes a shaky step forward. "I know," she sobs. "I know I messed up, but I love you, and I need you to understand why." "Don't," Ben interrupts, stepping between us. His jaw is clenched, and he looks ready to throw her out himself. "Alex doesn't owe you anything. You need to leave." I put a hand on Ben's shoulder, trying to rein in the whirlwind of emotions tearing me apart. As much as I want to slam the door in her face, a part of me is still desperate for answers, for something that will make sense of the chaos she's caused. "Ben, it's okay," I say quietly, though my voice shakes. "I need to hear this." He turns to me, his eyes full of worry, but he nods reluctantly and steps aside. I take a deep breath, bracing myself, and meet Caroline's gaze. "You have 5 minutes," I say, my voice cold and unyielding. "Make them count." Caroline's lips tremble, and she clutches her duffel bag tighter, as if it's the only thing keeping her together. She steps inside, and the air feels charged, heavy with everything left unresolved. Caroline steps inside, and the weight of her presence feels suffocating. Her eyes are swollen from crying, her makeup smeared, and she looks more broken than I've ever seen her. But my sympathy is buried beneath layers of anger and hurt. Ben lingers in the background, his fists clenched and ready to jump in if I give him the signal. I'm grateful for his support, but this moment is mine to face. I cross my arms over my chest, forcing myself to remain calm. "Talk," I say, my voice cold. "You've got 5 minutes." Caroline takes a shaky breath, her fingers twisting around the strap of her bag. "I don't even know where to start," she whispers, her voice cracking. I know I don't deserve your forgiveness, but I need you to understand why this happened. A bitter laugh escapes me. Why? I repeat. You mean why you decided to throw away our marriage? Why you chose him over me? Her face crumples, and she wipes at her tears. It wasn't about choosing him, she says, her voice desperate. It was never about him, Alex. It was about me. About feeling lost, like I wasn't enough anymore. I stiffen, the rage simmering beneath the surface. So you cheated because you felt insecure? I snap. Do you have any idea how insane that sounds? I know, she chokes out, her shoulders shaking. I know how selfish it was. But after years of feeling invisible, I didn't know how to cope. And Ryan, he made me feel seen, like I was worth something. I close my eyes, the pain slicing through me. All those nights I thought I was doing enough, working late to provide for us, planning our future, only to learn that it wasn't enough for her. You felt invisible? I echo, my voice thick. And you thought betraying me was the solution? Caroline's face crumples further, and she takes a step closer, but I hold up a hand to stop her. I never wanted to hurt you, she says, her voice breaking. I swear, Alex, I didn't plan for any of this to happen. It just did. The excuses feel hollow, like pouring salt on an open wound. You think that makes it better? I ask, my voice rising. That you didn't plan it? You still made the choice, Caroline. You still looked me in the eye every day and lied. Her sobs grow louder, and for a moment, I feel nothing but cold detachment. I don't know how to fix this, she whispers, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes. Quit my job, move somewhere new, anything. Just please, don't let this be the end. Ben clears his throat, and I glance at him. His jaw is tight, and I can tell he's biting back the urge to throw her out himself. But this is my decision, my mess to sort out. I turn back to Caroline, and for the first time, I let myself really look at her. The woman who was my world, who made promises she couldn't keep. I search for the love I used to see in her eyes, but it's overshadowed by guilt and desperation. I don't know if I can ever trust you again. I admit, my voice raw. What we had, it's broken. And I don't know if it can be fixed. Caroline's face pales, and she takes another step forward, dropping her bag at her feet. Please, she begs, her voice shaking. Give me a chance. Just one chance to make this right. I hesitate, the weight of her words pressing down on me. Part of me wants to throw her out, to end this nightmare and start over without her. But another part, the part that remembers the good times, the love we once shared, wonders if there's any hope left. The silence stretches between us, and I realize that whatever decision I make, my life will never be the same. I stand there, torn between the past and the present, between love and betrayal. Caroline's face is a portrait of regret, and every tear that slips down her cheek feels like a dagger in my chest. I try to steady myself, but the whirlwind of emotions threatens to pull me under. Ben's voice cuts through the tension, his tone firm but laced with worry. Alex, you don't have to make any decisions right now, he says. You've been through hell tonight. Give yourself some space. I nod, grateful for the reminder. It's true. I don't have to decide everything in this moment, even though every fiber of my being wants clarity, a sense of control over this nightmare. Ben's right, I finally say, my gaze locking onto Caroline's. I can't think straight right now. I don't know if I want to forgive you, or if that's even possible. But what I do know is that I need time. Her shoulders sag, and she looks at me with a mixture of hope and despair. I'll give you all the time you need, she whispers. Just don't shut me out completely. Please. I clench my jaw, the anger still simmering beneath the surface. You've already been shut out, Caroline, I say harshly. You made that choice when you let someone else into your life, into our life. She flinches, and guilt twists in my gut, but I don't let myself soften. This pain, this betrayal, is hers to own. You need to go, I add, my voice cold. I don't want you here tonight. Caroline nods, her eyes brimming with fresh tears. She picks up her bag, her hands trembling, and looks at me one last time. I'm sorry, she says, her voice breaking. I love you, Alex. I don't respond. I can't. The words feel meaningless, like a whisper in a hurricane. Instead, I watch as she turns and walks out the door, the sound of it closing behind her echoing through the house. The silence that follows is deafening, and I sink onto the couch, feeling like a hollow shell. Ben sits beside me, and for a moment, we just sit there, the weight of everything settling around us. She's gone, I murmur, more to myself than to him. Ben puts a hand on my shoulder, his grip solid and comforting. You did what you had to do, he says. Don't second-guess yourself. I nod, but doubt is already creeping in. Did I do the right thing? Is there even a right thing in a situation like this? The love I felt for Caroline hasn't disappeared, but it's buried beneath a mountain of hurt, and I don't know if it will ever resurface. What now? I ask, my voice hollow. It's the question that's been haunting me since this nightmare began. Ben takes a sip of his whiskey and sighs. Now, you take it one day at a time, he says. Focus on yourself, on healing. And if you need me, I'm here. The sincerity in his voice brings a small, flickering sense of comfort, and I grip my glass tighter, trying to ground myself. The road ahead feels impossibly long and uncertain, but at least I know I'm not facing it alone. As the night wears on, I realize that this is only the beginning of the battle. Whether I decide to forgive Caroline or let her go for good, the healing process will be anything but simple. The house feels colder after Caroline's departure, like she took every ounce of warmth with her. Ben stays by my side, and the whiskey does little to dull the ache in my chest, but I'm grateful for his presence. The silence between us is comfortable, a reminder that sometimes just having someone there is enough. I guess I should be packing up her stuff, I mutter, staring at the empty glass in my hand. The thought of boxing up her clothes, her books, her little trinkets from vacations past feels unbearable, but the idea of leaving everything as it is seems worse. Ben shakes his head. Don't do that to yourself tonight, he says. You've been through enough. Let it sit for now. When you're ready, we'll handle it together. I nod, the exhaustion hitting me like a tidal wave. My body feels heavy, worn down by the emotional roller coaster of the last few hours. I let out a long, shaky breath. I never thought I'd be here, I admit. I thought she was it. My forever. Ben's jaw tightens, and he looks at me with a mix of sadness and anger. You didn't deserve this, Alex, he says. She made her choices. You're not to blame. But deep down, I can't shake the feeling that maybe I missed something, that maybe I wasn't enough. The doubts swirl around me, threatening to pull me under. Then why do I feel like I failed? I ask, my voice breaking. Ben sets his glass down and leans forward. Because you loved her, he says simply. And when you love someone, you put everything into making it work. But sometimes people let us down, no matter how much we give. His words make sense, but they don't stop the hurt. I press my palms against my eyes, trying to hold back another wave of tears. I don't know how to move forward from this, I admit. How do you even start? Ben gives me a small, sad smile. One day at a time, man, he says. Start with the basics. Eat, sleep, and take care of yourself. The rest will come with time. I nod, though it feels impossible. The future stretches out before me, uncertain and daunting. But maybe, just maybe, there's a sliver of hope buried somewhere in this mess. We sit in silence for a while longer, and eventually, Ben helps me upstairs, making sure I don't stumble from the alcohol and the weight of everything pressing down on me. He pulls a blanket over me as I collapse onto the bed, too tired to even change out of my clothes. Before he leaves, he stands in the doorway, looking back at me. I'll check in tomorrow, he says. Call me if you need anything. Thanks, Ben. I manage, my voice weak. He nods and closes the door, leaving me alone in the darkness. The emptiness of the room is suffocating, and I stare at the ceiling, haunted by memories of better days. The ghost of Caroline's laughter, her smile, lingers in the air, taunting me. But as the minutes tick by, a new thought creeps into my mind. Maybe this is my chance to rebuild, to figure out who I am without her. The idea doesn't bring comfort, not yet, but it's something to hold on to. A tiny, fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, I'll come out of this stronger. Eventually, sleep takes me, but it's restless, filled with dreams of everything I've lost and the uncertain path that lies ahead. I wake up to the pale gray light of dawn filtering through the curtains. My head pounds, a dull ache from the whiskey, but it's nothing compared to the raw, empty feeling in my chest. The bed feels too big, too cold without Caroline beside me. Instinctively, I reach for the space she used to occupy, only to remember that she's not here. She's not mine anymore. I sit up slowly, wincing as the memories of the night before come rushing back. The confrontation, the tears, the shattered trust, all of it playing on a loop in my mind. For a moment, I consider just lying back down, giving in to the grief and exhaustion. But Ben's words echo in my mind, one day at a time. Eat, sleep, and take care of yourself. I drag myself out of bed, my limbs feeling like lead, and head to the bathroom. I catch a glimpse of myself in the mirror, and it's not a pretty sight. My eyes are bloodshot, and there's a haunted look about me that I barely recognize. I splash cold water on my face, trying to wash away the remnants of the nightmare. In the kitchen, I make coffee, the simple routine bringing a tiny sliver of normalcy to my morning. As the rich aroma fills the air, I lean against the counter, staring at the mug in my hands. The silence is oppressive, and I can't stop my mind from replaying the moment I saw that hickey on Caroline's neck. The betrayal feels fresh, like a wound that refuses to heal. The doorbell rings, startling me out of my thoughts. My heart leaps in my chest, half hoping it's Caroline, but I quickly push that hope away. I'm not ready to face her again. Not yet. I open the door, and to my surprise, it's not Caroline. It's my neighbor, Mrs. Hargrove, standing there with a concerned expression and a plate of homemade muffins. She's in her 60s, with kind eyes and a soft smile that always made me feel like a kid again. "Morning, Alex," she says gently, her gaze full of sympathy. I heard some commotion last night. Just wanted to check on you, see if you're all right." I force a smile, though it feels like my face might crack from the effort. "Thanks, Mrs. Hargrove," I say, my voice rough. I'm getting by." She hesitates, her eyes searching mine. "Breakups are never easy," she says, and I feel a pang of discomfort. I hadn't realized my private hell had been so obvious. My Henry and I went through a rough patch once years ago. It felt like the end of the world, but time has a way of healing things. I nod, swallowing hard. The thought of healing feels impossible, but her words carry a small, quiet wisdom. "Thank you," I say, and I mean it. Even if it's just muffins and kind words, it's something. A reminder that the world hasn't completely abandoned me. She hands me the plate, and her smile is warm. "Take care of yourself, Alex," she says, "and if you need someone to talk to, you know where to find me." I watch her walk back to her house, and the gesture leaves me feeling both grateful and achingly alone. I close the door, setting the muffins on the table, and take a seat. For a moment, I just sit there, staring at the wall, feeling the weight of everything pressing down on me. But then, with a deep breath, I take one of the muffins and force myself to eat. It's a small step, but it's something. Maybe it's the beginning of figuring out how to move forward, even if I have no idea where to start. The day stretches ahead of me, and I know it won't be easy. But as the taste of blueberry muffin lingers on my tongue, I decide that I'll keep trying, one painful step at a time. The hours pass slowly, each minute feeling like a struggle just to keep moving. I try to distract myself, to focus on the mundane chores around the house. The laundry, the dishes, even wiping down the counters. It all feels mechanical, a way to keep from thinking about the gaping hole Caroline's betrayal left in my chest. But the quiet moments in between, when I have nothing to focus on, are the worst. Her absence is like a phantom lingering around every corner. I hear her laugh in the echo of the empty living room, see her smile in the framed photos that still line the walls. I know I should take them down, shove them into a drawer or burn them, but the thought makes me feel even emptier. My phone buzzes on the counter, and for a second, I freeze. My heart races, hoping for something, anything, to distract me from this purgatory. When I check the screen, it's a text from my sister, Emma. "Emma, hey Alex. I heard what happened. Do you want to talk? I hesitate. Emma has always been there for me, even when I didn't deserve it. She's fierce and protective, and I know she'll have some choice words for Caroline. But part of me doesn't want to rehash everything, to put my pain into words that make it even more real. Still, I know isolating myself won't help. I need connection, even if it feels impossible to let anyone in. I take a breath and type out a response. Me, yeah, I could use some company. Can you come over? Her reply is almost instant. Emma, on my way. Don't you dare start drinking again before I get there. I smile faintly, despite everything. Emma knows me too well. I set the phone down and take a few more minutes to clean up, hoping to make the house look a little less like the emotional disaster zone it is. By the time I hear her knock at the door, the living room is almost presentable. I open the door, and Emma rushes in, immediately pulling me into a tight hug. She's always been a bit of a whirlwind, full of energy and love, and right now, it's exactly what I need. I hug her back, feeling some of the tension in my shoulders ease. God, Alex, she says, pulling back to look at me. Her blue eyes are full of concern. You look like hell. Thanks, I say dryly. You really know how to lift a guy's spirits. She smirks, but her expression softens. I mean it. I'm here. Okay? Whatever you need. We sit on the couch, and I tell her everything, from the moment I saw the mark on Caroline's neck to the confrontation and the aftermath. Emma listens quietly, her hands balled into fists as she takes it all in. That bitch, she mutters when I finish, her voice shaking with anger. I can't believe she did this to you. After everything you gave her, everything you did for her. I nod, my throat tight. Yeah, well, here we are, I say, my voice hollow. I just don't know how to be okay again. Emma's eyes soften, and she takes my hand. You're not supposed to know, she says. This kind of thing doesn't come with a rule book. But you have people who love you, and we're not going to let you go through this alone. Her words crack something inside me, and I feel the tears well up again. But this time, they're a little different, less angry, more raw and vulnerable. I lean into Emma's embrace, letting myself grieve, letting myself be cared for. For the first time in what feels like forever, I let myself believe that maybe, just maybe, I'll survive this. It won't be easy, and it won't be quick, but I have a lifeline. I have people who care. And maybe that's enough to keep going, one day at a time. Emma stays by my side for the rest of the day, filling the house with her warm, relentless energy. She makes lunch, a simple grilled cheese and tomato soup, but in that moment, it tastes like a five-star meal. The comfort of having her here, the normalcy of sharing a meal, is a welcome reprieve from the storm inside my head. So, Emma says, dipping her sandwich into the soup, have you thought about what you're going to do next? I pause, the question hanging heavy in the air. Next? I repeat, as if the concept is foreign. Everything still feels suspended in the aftermath of last night. The idea of a future, of moving forward, feels overwhelming. Emma sets her sandwich down and looks at me with that familiar, no-nonsense expression she always gets when she's about to tell me something hard but true. Yeah, next. You can't let this define you, Alex. You've got to take some steps to rebuild. I sigh, pushing my bowl away. I don't even know where to start, I admit. The house, it's full of her. Our life. How do I even begin to make it mine again? Emma thinks for a moment, then her eyes light up. We start by purging, she says. Get rid of anything that doesn't bring you peace. If it's tied to Caroline, it goes. We'll clear this place out and make it yours again. The idea sends a surge of both dread and relief through me. It's a daunting task, one that feels final, but maybe that's what I need. You mean like, pack up her things? I ask. Emma nods. Exactly. We don't have to get rid of it all right away. We can box it up, put it in the garage or something, just so it's out of sight. It's a step toward reclaiming your space. I take a deep breath, considering it. The thought of going through Caroline's things, touching the remnants of our life together, feels like it might break me. But Emma's right. I can't keep living in a shrine to a broken marriage. Okay, I finally say, my voice steadying. Let's do it. Emma grins. The kind of smile that always made me believe in better days when we were kids. "That's the spirit," she says. "I'll grab some boxes, and we'll get started." We work through the afternoon, starting in the bedroom. Every piece of clothing, every trinket, every memory-packed item gets carefully folded and placed into boxes. The process is painful, each object a reminder of a moment we shared. But with each item removed, the room starts to feel less suffocating, less haunted. When we come across the small jewelry box Caroline kept on the dresser, I hesitate. Emma puts a hand on my shoulder. "You don't have to open it," she says gently. "We can pack it up as is." I nod, but curiosity gets the better of me. I open the box, and there it is, a delicate gold necklace I gave her on our 3rd anniversary, a piece that she used to wear almost every day. The sight of it makes my chest ache, but there's something else too. A folded piece of paper, tucked under the lining. I pull it out, my hands trembling, and unfold it. Emma leans in, her eyes wide with concern. The note is written in Caroline's familiar handwriting, but the words make my blood run cold. "For Ryan. Our little secret. Can't wait for our next business meeting." Emma's hand flies to her mouth, and I feel the room spinning around me. The betrayal cuts even deeper now, more real and undeniable. It's one thing to know she cheated, but to see proof of her planning, her deceit. It's like a fresh wound ripped open. Emma reaches for me, her grip strong. "Alex," she says, her voice urgent. "Breathe. It's okay to be angry. Let it out." I clutch the note, my knuckles turning white, but instead of exploding, I feel a strange sense of calm settle over me. This is the last piece of the puzzle, the final nail in the coffin of our marriage. It's devastating, but it also gives me clarity. There's nothing left to salvage, nothing left to hope for. I crumple the note in my fist, and for the first time in what feels like forever, I know what I need to do. Emma watches me closely, concern etched across her face as I stand there, gripping the crumpled note. The anger that surges through me isn't the kind that blinds. It's the kind that sharpens everything into focus. I've been drowning in confusion and heartbreak, but this note, this final confirmation, brings a strange sense of resolution. I look at Emma, my voice steadier than I expected. "I need to get rid of this," I say, holding up the note. "I need to close this chapter for good." Emma's eyes narrow with understanding. "What are you thinking?" she asks, and I can tell she's ready to support whatever comes next. I take a deep breath. Caroline needs to know that I'm done, completely done. I'm not interested in reconciliation or apologies. This betrayal deserves closure, not forgiveness. Emma nods, her jaw set. "Then let's give you that closure," she says. "How do you want to do it?" The gears in my mind start turning. I know confronting Caroline with this note will be painful, but it's a necessary step. I need her to understand that there's no coming back from this. I glance at the clock. It's late afternoon, and the day is slipping away. I'll meet her, I decide. Somewhere public, where she can't turn this into a dramatic scene. I'll show her the note, say what I need to, and be done with it. Emma's expression hardens, and she squeezes my arm. "You sure you're up for that?" she asks. "I can be there if you need backup." I shake my head, a small smile breaking through the tension. "I appreciate it, but I think this is something I need to do on my own." She hesitates, then sighs and nods. "All right, but I'm a text away if you need me. And you'd better call me as soon as it's over." "Deal, I promise." With that, I grab my keys, the note still clutched in my hand, and head out the door. The drive to the small coffee shop where Caroline likes to meet her friends is tense. My grip on the steering wheel so tight my knuckles ache. When I arrive, the place is only half full, the perfect setting for what I need to do. I text Caroline, asking her to meet me. The reply comes almost immediately. "I'm on my way." I take a seat by the window, watching the street outside. My heart races, a blend of anticipation and dread swirling in my gut. It feels surreal, like I'm about to walk into the climax of a bad dream I can't wake up from. When Caroline walks through the door, she spots me right away. She looks nervous, her eyes puffy from crying, and she approaches slowly, as if she's afraid I'll bolt. "Alex," she says, her voice trembling. Thank you for agreeing to meet. I don't waste any time. I pull out the note, placing it on the table between us. Her eyes widen as she reads the familiar handwriting, and her face pales. "What is this?" she whispers, her voice cracking. "It's the truth," I say, my voice devoid of emotion. "Proof of what you did, of the lies you told. I needed you to see that I know everything, that there's no room for pretending anymore." Tears fill her eyes, and she reaches for my hand, but I pull back. "Please, Alex," she begs. "I made a mistake, a horrible mistake. I never meant to hurt you like this." I shake my head, the calm in my chest hardening into resolve. "You didn't just hurt me, Caroline. You destroyed everything we built together. And you need to understand that I'm not coming back. This is goodbye." Her sobs break through, but I refuse to let myself feel pity. I've given her too many chances already. "Goodbye," I repeat, standing up and walking away. The weight I've been carrying doesn't disappear, but it feels a little lighter as I step outside, breathing in the cool evening air. I did what I had to do. It's not a perfect resolution, but it's a start, a step toward reclaiming my life and finding some semblance of peace. The air outside feels colder than it did before, crisp and biting, but for the first time in a long while, I feel something like relief. The weight of the confrontation still lingers, but so does the sense of finality. I said what needed to be said, and there's no more room for apologies or second chances. I head back to my car, and as I get in, I feel the adrenaline slowly draining from my system, leaving exhaustion in its wake. I sit there for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, taking deep, steadying breaths. The thought of going home to an empty house still hurts, but it's a different kind of pain now, a pain that comes with the promise of healing. My phone buzzes, and I glance at the screen. It's Emma, checking in. "Emma, how did it go? Are you okay?" I smile faintly, grateful for her unwavering support. "Me? I did it. It's over. Heading home now." Her reply is almost immediate. "Emma, proud of you. Call me when you get back." I set the phone down and start the car, the engine humming to life. The drive back is quiet, the streets bathed in the golden hues of the setting sun. I feel a strange mix of emotions. Sadness, yes, but also a glimmer of hope. For so long, my life has revolved around Caroline, around the future we planned together. Now, that future is gone, but it means I'm free to build something new. When I pull into the driveway, I take a moment to gather myself. The house looms ahead, a silent reminder of everything I've lost, but also everything I have the power to reclaim. I step inside, and the emptiness greets me like an old friend. It's quiet, but there's potential in that quiet. A blank slate waiting to be filled with new memories. I kick off my shoes and walk into the living room, the boxes Emma and I packed earlier still stacked neatly in the corner. The sight of them doesn't fill me with dread like it did before. Instead, I see them as the first step toward a fresh start. I grab my phone and call Emma. She picks up on the second ring. "Hey," she says, her voice warm and full of concern. "How are you holding up?" I let out a breath, and for the first time in a long while, I feel a small, genuine smile tug at my lips. "Better," I admit. "I mean, it still hurts, but I think I'll be okay. Eventually." Emma laughs softly, and the sound feels like a balm to my wounded heart. "You will be," she says. "And in the meantime, I'm here. Always." "Thanks, Em," I say, feeling the gratitude swell in my chest. "I don't know what I'd do without you." We talk for a few more minutes, and when we hang up, the house feels a little less empty. I walk over to the kitchen, make myself a cup of tea, and sit down at the table. The quiet is still there, but it's no longer suffocating. It feels like the first step towards something new, something better. I don't know what the future holds, but for the first time, I'm willing to find out, one day at a time. The next morning, sunlight filters through the blinds, painting the bedroom in soft, golden hues. For the first time in what feels like ages, I wake up without a crushing sense of dread pressing on my chest. The ache is still there, the wound still raw, but the edges are starting to feel less jagged. I take a moment to let the warmth of the sunlight seep into me, and for once, I don't feel the urge to hide under the covers. Today feels different. less like a continuation of heartbreak and more like a chance to begin healing. The smell of freshly brewed coffee greets me as I head downstairs. It's a small comfort, but it reminds me that I'm still capable of enjoying life's little pleasures. As I sit at the kitchen table with my mug, I pull out my phone and scroll through the messages. There's one from my mom, checking in, and another from Ben, who's clearly worried and wants to catch up. I respond to both, assuring them I'm okay, even if I'm not quite there yet. Then, on a whim, I decide to make a list. A simple, straightforward list of things I can do for myself, things that have nothing to do with Caroline or the life we built together. The first item, reclaim the house. Emma was right. It's time to make this space mine again. I'm jotting down ideas, painting a room, rearranging the furniture, maybe buying some new art, when my phone buzzes with a text from Ben. Ben, breakfast? My treat. You look like you need some pancakes and brotherly wisdom. I chuckle, feeling a genuine warmth spread through me. Ben has always had a way of showing up when I need him most. Me? Sounds perfect. Meet you at Patty's in 30? His reply is a thumbs-up emoji, and I set the phone down, a small smile still playing at my lips. I head upstairs, take a long, hot shower, and get dressed in something that makes me feel like myself. Jeans, a clean shirt, and my favorite leather jacket. It's a simple outfit, but it feels like armor, a way of reclaiming my identity. On the drive to Patty's diner, I feel a sense of anticipation. It's not just about the pancakes or catching up with Ben. It's about taking a step forward, about choosing to live instead of just surviving. The world feels a little more open, a little more full of possibility. When I walk into the diner, Ben is already there, a big grin on his face and 2 cups of coffee waiting on the table. He stands up and pulls me into a bear hug, clapping me on the back. There he is, he says, his voice full of warmth. You look a little less like a zombie today. I laugh, the sound coming more easily than I expected. Thanks, man, I say. I'm trying. We sit down, and the waitress comes over to take our order. Ben doesn't even ask what I want. He knows it by heart. 2 stacks of pancakes, bacon, and eggs over easy, he says, winking at me. The conversation flows easily, and for a while, it feels like old times. We talk about work, his latest dating misadventures, and plans for a weekend fishing trip he wants to take. The pain of the past few days isn't gone, but it feels more manageable, less suffocating. As we finish our breakfast, Ben leans back in his chair and studies me. So, he says, his eyes serious but kind. What's next, Alex? You've got a clean slate now. What are you going to do with it? I take a moment to think, my gaze drifting out the window. The sun is shining, and people are going about their lives, laughing, talking, living. For the first time in a long while, I feel like I'm ready to join them. I'm not sure yet, I admit, but there's a note of hope in my voice. But I think I'm ready to find out. Ben smiles, raising his coffee mug in a toast. To new beginnings, he says. I clink my mug against his, feeling a spark of something I thought I'd lost forever. Hope. The road ahead is uncertain, but it's mine to walk, and that thought alone feels like the first step towards something new. Thank you for staying with me through this journey. I hope the story resonated with you. If you enjoyed it or have your own thoughts or experiences to share, I'd love to hear them. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with others who might find solace in a story of healing and moving forward.